Hey, it's John. Welcome back to the show, and welcome back to the latest edition of the Live Cut. The premise of this series is to talk about albums that don't get enough love or recognition, and in this case, don't get enough love or recognition today. My guest with me today, you no doubt know from the Contrarians. He is the engine of the Contrarians, the coordinator of the highest order, Marco De Aria. Welcome to my show.
Thank you, John. Thanks for having me. This is a
You're very
blast.
welcome. The album that Marco and I are going to discuss today is Elvis Presley, Aloha from Hawaii via satellite. This was released on April 4, 1973. Oh, I'm sorry. This was released in February 1973 on RCA Records. Now, the TV special was released on April 4, 1973. And there you go. There's the information. It was recorded live at the Honolulu International Center Sunday, January 14, 1973 in Honolulu, Hawaii. The show was at 12:30 a.m. and includes 8 songs that were never before released by Elvis. This show was one of 2 shows that Elvis did in Honolulu, Hawaii in January of 1973. It was a benefit for the Kui Lee Cancer Fund. The musicians on this album are Elvis Presley, of course, on vocals, James Burton on lead guitar, John Wilkinson on guitar, Charlie Hodge on guitar and vocals, Jerry Sheff on the Fender bass, Ronnie Tutt on drums, Glenn Hardin on piano, backing vocals by J.D. Summer and the Stamps, The Sweet Inspirations, and Kathy Westmoreland, and the accompaniment is provided by the Joe Guercio Orchestra. It was produced by Joan Deary and Marty Pacetta. So, Marco, when did you first get familiar with Elvis's music?
For me, I think I was aware of Elvis like almost right away. I think if I was aware of any kind of popular musician, it was like the Elvis, Michael Jackson, and the Beatles, I think were like the first things I ever was aware of. And I was born in the 80s, mostly grew up in the 90s. So I was aware of Elvis, but what I understood Elvis to be was kind of like the cartoon version of like what you think of when you think of Elvis. You know what I mean? Like
I
I
know what you
wasn't
mean.
aware of who he was or the history of Elvis and how he impacted music. I just knew he was huge and he was dead. You know what I mean? He had died a long time ago and he was massive. And then like familiar with Heartbreak Hotel. You know what I mean? Like some of the big songs from the early days, Hound Dog. You know what I mean? Because my dad listened to 50s rock and roll in the car a lot. So he listened to Little Richard and Chuck Berry and Buddy Holly and Elvis and doo-wop and all kinds of stuff. So I was familiar with some of his hits. Um, I didn't get interested in Elvis as a performer and musician until my 20s.
Okay.
And I'm in my late 30s now. So we're talking like over a decade ago. I was actually flipping through channels, and came across the TV presentation of Elvis from Hawaii on PBS,
Oh,
and I just decided to check it out, and I watched it, and I became a instantly became a fan of Elvis from the strength of his performance, and in particular, if you watch the video, just the way that he interacts with the uh like the concert attendees in the front row there.
mhm.
And I just remember thinking like, wow, like he had that audience in the palm of his hand and he knew what to do with them. Like he was a pro at performing. And that impressed me. And I've always appreciated Elvis ever since. Before that, I don't think I had much of an opinion on him either way, other than maybe like a comical one. But since I saw this performance, right, like the actual video, I have video here. If you,
Really
I have the DVD here and the VHS of this performance.
nice.
So I have a video VHS copy of it,
Hmm.
which is cool. I don't know how many people come on your channel and show off VHS tapes, but
Not
here's
too
one.
much. Nice.
Yeah, so Aloha from Hawaii. It was this performance on PBS, actually. And PBS actually, I don't really watch TV anymore. I kind of just stream stuff. But back in the day, PBS would show some pretty cool stuff. They would show like Rolling Stones concerts and
Yeah.
like Woodstock, the documentary, and like I saw lots of cool stuff on PBS, and this is included. And then after that is when I became interested in Elvis as a performer and a musician, and started actually listening to Elvis and being familiar with his story. To answer your question, so
Okay.
probably in my early 20s, so over like 15-ish years ago,
Okay.
probably.
Good. I heard Elvis like almost out of the womb. I was born in 1971, and we grew up in a half a double block. My grandparents lived on the bottom, and my parents and I and my two sisters lived on top. My brother would be born a little bit later. So my grandparents had Elvis Presley records. They had Engelbert Humperdinck records. They had Nat King Cole records. And at that time, in the radio that was playing downstairs in their apartment, you heard Elvis, and his songs were with you immediately. Those melodies just stuck right in your head. It was like that with the Elvis Presley. We heard a lot of the Beatles and the Rolling Stones when we were growing up because my parents liked those bands. When he died on August 16, 1977, I was still living in that apartment. 2 months later, oh, here we go. This
So
is
this
this was the headline when Elvis had passed away.
shout out to Nick Esquire who sent me this newspaper.
Thank you, Nick. Nick's always
This says this is Wednesday, August 17th, 1977 is when this paper came out.
okay. So it would have been the day after because he passed
And look
on
at the photo.
there you go.
It's from Hawaii.
It is
He's
from
got the
Hawaii.
he's got the lei on,
Yeah,
and you can
yep,
tell by
that's
the
true. Yeah, you
stage.
can see it right below his arms there. There you go.
Yeah, yeah, you
Very
can tell
good.
by the stage. That's from Elvis and Hawaii. And he
What
still looks good. He still looks good then.
I got
Anyways, continue.
okay, no, all good. What newspaper was that?
That's the Philadelphia Daily News.
Oh, okay.
For
Very good. That's awesome.
15 cents.
Yep, not gonna see that anymore. Yeah. So when he passed, you know, I remember there were Elvis Presley tributes. They were playing his movies on TV for a long time there. There was a resurgence in popularity that I don't, I mean, it subsided a little bit, but there's still millions and millions of Elvis Presley fans all over the world. I went to Graceland in 2018, and there's still tons of people making that pilgrimage to go there. But yes, I heard his music very early on, and those singles that have stood the test of time, they were always part of my fabric. I was never a big fan because he was one of those artists where I heard him so much when I was young that I figured I don't even have to buy his albums or his records because I know them already. So that was my introduction to Elvis. So what we're going to do is we're just going to do a free form discussion about this album slash DVD. This album hit number one on the Billboard top 200 album charts here in the United States. It went 5 times platinum. It was the first album to hit number one that was recorded in quadraphonic sound, which was a way they were recording early on. It was something they were testing in the market, and later on they put this out in a stereo version, which is what I have here. This also went to number one in Canada, and it went to number one on the country charts. So Marco, with the track listing here, what are some of your favorite songs on here? Your favorite performances? What do you think of the band's renditions of some of these tracks?
Well, I think I'm glad that they recorded it the way that they did in quadraphonic sound or whatever you had said
Mhm.
earlier, because I think it deserves like to be recorded properly. Because you had mentioned earlier, on top of the fact that Elvis was backed by his band, the TCB band, he was
Yep.
backed by, you had mentioned it briefly, 30-piece orchestra
Yes.
was on stage performing live with Elvis at this concert, plus the vocal groups, right? The
Yes.
uh
The Sweet
who was the female
Inspiration.
vocal group?
JD.
The Inspirations, yeah.
Mhm.
So like the sound is very well recorded. I appreciate the sound, and I think it comes through well with I think Elvis performs well with an orchestra and a big backing band like that, especially on songs like This Time You Gave Me a Mountain. I
Mm.
think was one of the songs that would probably catch my attention in my early listenings to this album because that's a song the singles that you're talking about, like that you're familiar like with, like Hound Dog and Heartbreak Hotel and all those like early songs. This Time You Gave Me a Mountain was one that like maybe I wasn't familiar with that can't like I don't know if it's a cover or not. And there's a
It
bunch of
is.
covers on here. Like
Mm.
he covers like Jerry Lee Lewis and stuff like this on here and like the Beatles, right? There's a lot of great covers on here. But I think that's a great example of a track from this track list of this live performance that would immediately catch my attention, and I think it successfully makes use of Elvis's voice, like the way his range, right? He's got an excellent voice, and to have a powerful performance backed by an orchestra, and just that whole production, stage production of it, I think is fantastic. Just on an audio level, let alone like visual level, because visually, I think the stage, even the venue, and the players on stage and Elvis, like visually, it's a fantastic visual with the lights and it's like flashing Elvis. And if you see the live, if you end up watching the video performance, I know we're talking about the audio and the album,
Sure.
but the video performance, to me, the video performance is part of it because even on even on the front cover here, broadcast via satellite, you know what I mean? That's part of the appeal of the album was that this was broadcast live to the world. I think 1 billion people watched it or that's what it says somewhere
Yes.
here, like 1 billion people or something was watching this. But other than like that track being a standout track to me, I think some of the other tracks, like he does like CC Rider and he does some of the classics. One of the ones that he nails on here too is that hit that he had in the 60s, in 67, 68.
Burning Love. Oh, wait, that'd be 72.
No, Burning Love is another standout track from here too.
Suspicious Minds was
Suspicious
69.
Minds.
Okay.
Yeah, Suspicious Minds is another standout track from this performance. And then on top of that, some of the covers. Like interestingly enough, he covers like the Beatles. He does a good version of it, kind of like more of a lounge singer version of something in the way than maybe like the Beatles did. And like even like Fever, I think is a good performance too. And it's a
Absolutely.
fun performance to listen to the way he engages in the crowd reaction in that song. So I think some of the there's lots of versions of this album. Like if you go on Spotify, there's like the regular version, then there's the deluxe version, right? So and there's like you said, there was multiple performances. I'll just say just quickly about the DVD. The cool thing about this is you get both the rehearsal and the actual performance. So you actually get two concerts on the DVD, which is neat, and a bunch of stuff surrounding it.
So I have the 2-disc version. The second disc is called the Alternate Aloha. I'm gathering this is the first performance from January 12th because I know the one that was released originally was the one from January 14th. Because January 12th, the alternate Aloha version, it has a similar set list. He didn't do Johnny Be Good that night. And he didn't do I Can't Stop Loving You, but outside of that, everything else is played in the same order. And on the alternate Aloha, we have the public service announcement saying that this is for the Kui Lee Cancer Fund, which you didn't
Right.
have on the original.
Yeah, you're right. So on January 12th was the rehearsal concert.
Okay.
And the actual performance, I think, was on January 14th. That was the one that was broadcast, according to the book, like the DVD booklet.
Okay.
And you're probably right. They were both recorded. And you said on night one they didn't do Johnny Be Good, right?
Correct.
And I don't see it in the track listing here on the rehearsal,
Okay.
Johnny Be Good. So you're probably right. Because
Yeah, and
here's the track listing for both shows.
I have the
You'll
track
see,
listing for both shows, and they didn't do they did the songs in the same order, but they on the first performance, which we think is the first performance from the alternate Aloha, he didn't do Johnny Be Good, and he didn't do, I said I'll remember you, but I was incorrect there. It's I Can't Stop Loving You is the one
Mhm.
that he did not do the opening night. So, oh, there you go. We have them listed right there as well.
Yeah, so this one is the rehearsal, and then this one is the actual night. So that's the 12th, and that's the 14th.
Okay. Yep. So that's what we have on here. And we also have there's bonus songs on here on the alternate Aloha version. There are 5 songs that they cut without the audience there.
Yeah. So there's on here it says includes 8 songs never before recorded by Elvis. I don't know if that means the covers or not, but
I'm gathering that must be true because I don't think he ever put the Beatles something, or it was Marty Robbins who did You Gave Me a Mountain. You were talking about that version on that and how grandiose it is. That's
yeah.
actually a country singer songwriter. So that's originally, I imagine, was a country version.
Well, he really connected with gospel music, and because that song I think resembles gospel music, he
Yes.
probably from what I understand about the way Elvis performed was he seemed to connect with something a little deeper when he was performing gospel music. And I think
Yes.
because of the theme of that song, probably in some way, maybe even self-consciously, was performing at a bit of a deeper level when he was doing it live. Here's the record here.
Oh,
Here's
nice.
side, yeah.
Ah, sweet.
Side one.
There we go.
I bought this for $5. This is a double record.
Oh,
That's the awesome thing about Elvis is like anything I own from Elvis, I got for like nothing. Records, I have singles, I have records, I have VHS. I actually have a collection of Elvis VHS of like a bunch of his movies and stuff. I probably got like 30 or 40 VHS
oh,
of concerts and movies and stuff. They're like nothing. This was $1.99 Canadian.
wow.
You know what I mean? So all my Elvis stuff is like it's like worthless. Like I don't mean that worthless as like a as in it's like not valuable or anything. Actually, that's what I mean. It's not valuable. Like his records aren't really. I think some of his stuff is collectible, like an original pressing of his first album or something. You know what I mean? Like that
Right.
stuff
Okay.
is collectible, but there's so much, there's such a plethora of Elvis merchandise material and stuff like that out there that if you wanted to like collect Elvis, it's very economical to jump in and grab like double. This was a $5 double album, live double album.
And when did you purchase that? Do you remember?
Probably about 5 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago.
And yeah, and
Uh,
that was when you could still get vinyl relatively cheap compared to now. Now the vinyl prices, forget it. I mean, they're outrageous because the demand is there. So
yeah, and like I bought a stack of, had a stack of Elvis CDs. I gave them all to my brother because he has like a CD player in his car, and I use Spotify mostly. But I
okay.
had like an Elvis stack like this. Most of those CDs were like $2, $1, $5. I had Aloha Elvis the CD, and I think I bought it probably used for a couple of bucks,
Hmm,
you know.
nice.
The DVD cost a lot of money. I think I ordered online for like $50 or something. I can't remember, but
And how
from
many
Graceland.
uh, how many DVDs is in that collection?
So there's 2 DVDs in this. I
Okay.
think I ordered this and the 68 special, which is a 3 DVD set from Graceland because I couldn't find them for like a decent price online. I think on eBay. I just figured I'd just buy it straight from Graceland and it was a better price than where else I could find it. But I got this. This is a 2 set disc DVD. Then I got the 68 special as a 3 set disc DVD. I've got the Ed Sullivan performances on DVD. I got That's the Way It Is or whatever. I've got all of his concert performances on DVD. Elvis on tour. I also have that one on. I have them all on VHS and DVD. That's the Way It Is.
Sweet. Very good. The single off here was Steamroller Blues, James Taylor. I don't believe that was on an original album. I believe when James Taylor released it, I knew it was on a greatest hits, but I don't know if it was on an original. I don't know if it was on an original album before that because I believe that was a live version that was
Mhm.
on James Taylor's greatest hits.
Okay.
Elvis put it out as a single and it hit number 17 on the Billboard
Wow.
Hot 100, which I
Yeah.
did not know until I did my research. But when I look at this set list that he did those nights, to me, it's less than Elvis Presley's greatest hits and more a celebration of American music at that time. Because you're getting a lot of Elvis hits, you're not getting all of them. You're not getting Jailhouse Rock, you're not getting Love Me Tender, for example. I mean, he had tons and tons of hits,
Yeah.
but you're getting his renditions of a lot of very popular songs. You were talking about something before. The George Harrison song that was the only number one that he wrote for the Beatles. What
Mhm.
they did with that, the accompaniment on that is magnificent because they made it a lot more grandiose. The piano was playing a larger role in there, especially the brass section of the orchestra. They were making it a lot bigger. Well, if you listen to the original, it's a pretty mellow song when the Beatles did it. But Elvis and the accompanying band and orchestra here really made it their own. And the version of My Way, most popularly known for Frank Sinatra's version, it's similar to Frank's in the fact that it's very grandiose and, bombastic, but what a fantastic vocal here by Elvis on it. And I think they bring in the perfect accompaniment. The accompaniment by the musicians here, I think, is outstanding.
Oh, they elevate the songs. Like
Absolutely.
listen to the way the orchestra elevates the song, It's Over.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I could
And-
just hear it in my mind, just the we said grandiose aspect of it, but it
right.
does. It's humongous. It's a humongous sound that they push this. And he, for a front man, he carries it, like his voice works with it. And it's not like they're pushing him forward. Like he's center stage and he deserves it. Like his vocal range and like actual singing performance, let alone like the being able to like command a stage.
Mhm.
But if you take all of the glitter away and the glam rock aspect of Elvis and just you were just left with his voice, you don't need any of that other the glam rock stuff beside it. He literally could just go out there with just a t-shirt and jeans and sing and blow everybody away. So like his voice really it complements his voice, but it's not like it overshadows his voice or he needs
Right.
the orchestra. And listen to like It's Over, You Gave Me a Mountain, um, great performances. And like you said, a celebration of American music, Shakin' Going On, by Jerry Lee Lewis,
Yep.
right? And that's one that he recorded actually in there's a studio version of that as well. Shaking Going On, Johnny Be Good, right?
Chuck
Chuck
Berry.
Berry. So
Mhm.
like he's playing homage to his contemporaries who were around when he was around, So I think it's a just a fantastic performance all through and through, whether it's the you're listening to the CD or watching the performance. But
And also wonderful versions of Hank Williams, I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry, and Don Gibson's I Can't Stop Loving You. The American Trilogy, that's a wonderful rendition of songs that he does there and does that very, very well. I also like the fact that on the earlier tracks, the orchestra, they sit out and they stick more to those. Oh, is that your phone?
no, we're
Okay.
good.
Okay. They stick more to the early rockabilly renditions like Hound Dog, and Hound Dog is really, really short on here. But some of those other
Yeah.
ones, they try to keep the close to what they recorded.
And what's interesting, if you follow his performances, I think especially in the 70s, he doesn't give as much attention to his classic songs. Sometimes they're thrown together in a melody. It's our medley, sorry.
Medley,
A
yes.
medley of like two or three classic songs put together in like a 3 minute kind of thing. And then you'll go and do like somebody else's song and nail it. But I always thought that was interesting. You do melodies of his hits.
He didn't rest on his laurels. That's what you can definitely say about him because there's hits here from throughout his 22-year career.
Mhm.
Well, it would have been 18 at this point because he would have started in 54 or 55, I believe. So yeah, so you got songs from all over his career, and the covers he does on here, he truly makes his own. When you see this set list, is there songs on here you wished he performed, but he didn't?
I always like when he does Tiger Man. I
Okay.
like those some of those like old ones. I like that one. I'm the king of the jungle, you know. Call me Tiger Man. That's a good one. And one of his first hits, um, what's that song called? Sorry, folks, my brain. It's the end of the day for me. Um,
Same here.
that's all right, baby. That's all right with you. I those early Elvis songs are always my favorites. Those are just love the way is the cadence of his voice and stuff like that. I think other than that, I mean, he performed, you know, in the 70s. I mean, we missed Elvis performances for like a decade, right?
Yes.
He didn't perform for like almost over 10 years or whatever it was. But when he came back, he was like a machine. And there's lots of footage. I even have they never officially released the 77 CBS special. I have the double album of that too, and I have bootleg DVDs of it. But like he did perform a lot. He performed a lot of songs live. And his set list was he performed different set lists. Like he had a lot of hits, but like you said, like he would change them up. He would do medleys, he would do all kinds of covers and of all kinds of different artists and stuff. So if I was gonna say like what I would have liked to have seen, probably just those early songs that like kind of made Elvis along the way. And he does Blue Suede Shoes, you know what I
Right.
mean? And that's an early one, even though that one's a cover, but that was like an early, CC Rider is a good one. I don't know how old that one is, but you know, I
That
kind of
song's been
associate that
around
with
a
like a
long time, and I think they went and they arranged it a different way than the original. And CC Router's been recorded. I mean, you had Mitch Ryder and Detroit Wheels do it in the 60s, but it was around long before that,
Mhm, mhm.
just with different versions. I
And I
I
mean,
would have
like,
loved, I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, I mean, most of his songs are covers anyways, because even his originals were written by like Otis Blackwell and stuff like, you know what I mean? Like, he had writer's credits, but I don't know how much. And he even admits that he didn't really he didn't really write a lot. So he even admits that from his own mouth that he was a performer, not necessarily a writer. But he does have a bunch of writing credits. So I mean, that is what it is. But even the songs like I'm All Shook Up, I think was written by Otis Blackwell. That, I mean, it's basically a cover. Because I mean, if you listen to Otis Blackwell perform it and Elvis perform it, Elvis is kind of mimicking Otis Blackwell, in his performance. So,
Mhm.
anyways,
I think you mentioned All Shook Up, a song like that, or Jailhouse Rock. I would have liked to have heard.
yeah, Jailhouse Rock, yeah, classic.
Yeah, I would have liked to have heard them, even as part of a medley. I think that would have worked. We mentioned Love Me Tender. That I think would have went over very well. Well, I think would have really went over with the orchestra. And I think there may have been an orchestra on the original, was It's Now or Never. I think that would have been an excellent track, I think, for this.
Yeah,
Those are the ones that really stand out to me. Outside of that, I mean, I think this is an excellent set list. And I know he's bouncing around and he's doing some covers, but it all flows very, very well. It sounds seamless.
yes, it's interesting too because the VHS. Check out the set list for the VHS. So the VHS is 73 minutes, and this is the set list here. It's not the whole performance,
Okay.
obviously. It's missing quite a few songs actually. Like
Right.
Something in the Way, I don't think's on there.
Right.
Um and
Yeah.
these are actually more the songs associated with Elvis than the covers on the VHS. I don't know if there was if they did that on purpose,
I
but
see.
this looks more like a traditional kind of like Elvis set list, if
Right.
that makes sense,
Yes. I see Blue Hawaii in there.
which I don't think he actually did live.
He didn't do it live. They recorded a version of it. But it wasn't part of the live concert. But it's on the second CD of this set called Alternate Aloha.
Right. And I think there is some on the second disc here, they have post-concert insert songs. So I actually haven't maybe I should watch this. I haven't seen this. So the after concert session was shot with two cameras, with Elvis off to one side, and apparently was to accommodate and ease the construction of the montages of Elvis and Hawaii scenery for the American special. Uh yeah. So I guess these songs were recorded after the fact, and Blue
Okay.
Hawaii is right on the top of there.
Okay. And that Hawaiian wedding song, that's part of one of the five bonus tracks that's on the alternate Aloha as well. And Early Morning Rain, that's the last song. That's a Gordon Lightfoot cover.
Hmm.
That's in here as well.
Yeah, I've seen the rehearsal and the actual show, but maybe I should revisit this DVD and check this out because I don't remember seeing Blue Hawaii or hearing it with any of my albums that I have.
Gotcha.
So,
And I also like the versions of Welcome to My World, which I actually never heard that before. A Big Hunk of Love, Can't Help Falling in Love is wonderful on here as well.
yeah, Big Hunk of Love, yeah. Burning Love, like you said, I think this is a great place to present that song, you know.
It is. It sounds very close to the original, and I think it's because it was recorded right after the original had come out, and it was one of his last huge hits.
Yeah, and I can't remember now. Like I've seen this show. I didn't watch it in prep for this, but I actually watched it, I think, within the last few months. Can't remember exactly when, maybe like 4 or 5 months ago. I actually watched the rehearsal show. And what was I about to say? I lost my train of thought. What were you just talking about?
I was talking about some of the other tracks on here, such as Welcome to My World, Big Hunk of Love, and I said the version of
Oh, Burning Love. Okay, so yeah, so I
Morning.
I watched this not that long ago, but I can't remember. There are performances where he has to hold up a sheet of paper of lyrics for Burning Love.
Oh, okay.
He didn't know the lyrics that well, so when he performed live, he'd actually read them off a piece of paper. And I think he actually does it in the rehearsal show, but I can't remember. I know I've actually seen him performing live with a sheet of paper, and it would make sense that he would be doing it at the rehearsal, if not even the live show. But Burning Love is a favorite of mine too.
Excellent. Now, you're a very big Elvis fan, which I'm not. I'm more of a casual fan. What is your favorite era of Elvis's music?
I think I like the 50s Elvis, like
Okay.
55, 56, 57. Um, I do like his movies. I think they're fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of like that era too for a different, like man, I love Elvis, but man, some of those movies, like,
Campy.
he can't even act like he knows how to walk sometimes. It almost looks like he's acting when he's walking, you know? And it's just me and my brother will like we'll throw on an Elvis movie on like Tubi TV, has like tons of free Elvis movies on there, like Kid Galahad,
Oh, okay. I
where
gotta check that out.
yeah, like Kid Galahad, he's a boxer who knows how to sing too. Like it's just hilarious. Like he's always like a race car driver who happens to sing like an angel, or a boxer who happens to sing like an angel. You know what I mean? Like so, me and my
Mhm.
brother just always laugh that he's always set up in this situation where he's a painter but he can sing. You know what I mean? So Kid Galahad's a fun one because he gets trained by Charles Bronson, and he's a boxer who can sing. And so we I love his movies to for a different reason than I love his performances because they're kind of funny to watch and laugh. He starred in like 29 or 39 movies. Like, he starred in a bunch of movies for
I
10
didn't know it was
years.
that many. Holy crap.
Yeah, I think he starred in like 29 feature films or more. Can't remember if it's 29 or 39. But I love the film era and the 68. I think my favorite stuff to watch is the 68, other than the 50s stuff, is the 68 special, the sit down show when he plays with his original band, I think is just um it, it should just be viewing, everybody should just watch it. Just his performances that he does with his original band sitting down at the comeback special. Those are just great. He's just loose and he just performs really well. And he just looks like he's really loose and he's like having fun. And I think I like that. But then again, like I am a big Elvis fan, and this is just a redundant answer at this point. But I also like I know some people don't like Elvis until he starts putting on the jumpsuits. I like the jumpsuit era too. More, it's kind of goofy, like it's kind of fun to watch. Like he's a good performer and he's funny. Like when you watch, like that's the way it is and stuff. He has fun with his band and he laughs. And I like seeing that side of him too, when he can laugh and cut up with his band and have a good time and then kill a song and then do karate, and you know what I mean? Like I love all the eras of Elvis. My favorite though, I'd probably say I think is that 68, that special when he's because he still looks like 50s Elvis, and he just nails it. And you can just, yeah, I like that sit down show with his band.
And you were talking about the rapport that he has with his band and with the audience, and not and having a good sense of humor about everything. And the track to their version of Suspicious Minds, when they go into that breakdown, when he's singing the chorus, he changes the lyric up when he says, "I hope I don't tear up this suit now, baby."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just listened to the album, and I remember that from like I was listening to it today, yesterday, like over the weekend and stuff lately. Yeah, and that's one of the things. And when he introduces his band, you're just blown away by like, all the people he's introducing on stage, and he calls the one guy his flunky who gets him his water and sings harmony with him.
Oh, that's Charlie Hodge. Yeah.
Calls him a flunky and gets his
Yeah.
water. Charlie Hodge, he's my harmony vocalist. The flunky he gets my water and my towel. You know? I don't know why that makes me laugh.
Oh, that well, not just him. I mean, it was just natural charisma. He just had a good sense of humor about playing live, and every good sense of humor with everybody he played with. And some of these guys, like Jerry Sheff and James Burton, I know they played with him forever.
That was the TCB band was his band from this late 60s to when he passed away. I don't know the members who came and went in that time, but that was his band for that decade that he performed before he passed away, the TCB band. And that's who's with him behind on stage here in Aloha, Hawaii, along with the Sweet Inspirations and the Joe Guercio, whatever
The Guercio Orchestra.
orchestra. Yeah, orchestra.
Right. So he won his only 3 Grammys for his gospel recordings. Do you own his gospel recordings? And if you do, what do you think of them?
I did. I had the CD, How Great Are Thou or something like this. Um,
How great
and
thou art.
yeah, that's the CD that I had. Again, I think I bought it for like $2 used, or like $2 Canadian used. You know what I mean? Like I had a stat, like all kinds of stuff. I had a couple of different like Elvis country albums, you know what I mean? Although they weren't necessarily super country, but what do I think of the gospel stuff? It's interesting and I like his performance. It's not the stuff that I repeat listen to though. Like
Okay.
I liked I had a bunch of albums. His first album's good. I had a live performance from back in the 50s that I liked a lot. I had a live performance from the International Hotel from like 68 or 69 or
Nice.
67 even. I think he recorded a concert before the 68 special. And I think it was at the International Hotel, or maybe this was after. But
Okay.
it's from the late 60s and I like that CD. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but that was a live from the International Hotel. And he's making jokes. I when he started, he had he's like, when I started, I had a shaky leg, a guitar, and another shaky leg. You know what I mean? It's just the way that he talks to the audience is fun in that one. Those albums I like. The country Elvis Goes. I had a couple of one was like Elvis Goes Country, and then one was another. It had the same kind of name. It was like Country Elvis something. Those were good. He has a good song. I Wash My Hands in Muddy Waters. That was a good. Like how you talked about you appreciated all the hits, but you didn't really listen to the albums and stuff. When you listen to the albums, you get to hear stuff like like I Wash My Hands in Muddy Waters and stuff like this, which are great tunes, and he does a great job on them that aren't the songs that you hear on the radio or on his greatest hit stuff. So there is stuff worth looking into and finding on his albums. But I really like his first album too, with its classic album cover, right? It's kind of like the Clash kind of
Yep.
London Calling
The
kind
London
of,
Calling, exactly.
yeah, kind of did a similar album cover. But I'm a fan of Elvis. I enjoy his music, his performances. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Elvis.
Do you have any other cool memorabilia you'd like to show us?
That I can show you. I do have stuff like all around the room. I have oh yeah. Oh, I've got all kinds. My brain is going wild now. I've got a couple of Christmas ornaments and an nutcracker. Got an Elvis Presley nutcracker. It's like this, and he's got a big cape and stuff. I love that. It's up there.
Oh, sweet.
I've got an Elvis plate, Jailhouse Rock plate. I'll grab that if you want to check
Check
that
that
out.
out.
Jailhouse Rock.
Ah,
Commemorative plate. Again, I think I picked it up for like $10. Like I don't think it's
nice.
like valuable. You know what I mean? Like it's not like it's worth a ton of money, but it's one of four. There was four commemorative plates, 1989.
Sweet.
I've got a bunch of records buried. There's another video,
Oh, there we go. Jailhouse Rock.
Jailhouse Rock.
Very nice.
I have, I've got tons. I have probably like 40 VHS maybe
Holy
of
smoke.
movies, concerts,
Wow.
documentaries. Yeah, I mean, like if you want to see them, I can pull them out, but I've got tons of albums that are buried there. I'd have to go and pull it out and pull out the records and stuff like this. I've got other newspapers and magazines. I've got books. Um, yeah, I've got lots of Elvis stuff. I do. This is one of my favorite collections because these are like worthless. I picked these up for like 99 cents. Elvis on tour. I've got this on DVD and
Wow.
VHS. And I have different versions of Elvis on tour with like different covers and stuff, you know? Here's one of his movies, Flaming Star. Um, that's a Western.
Okay.
One of his Westerns is actually pretty good. Not that one, but well, I've actually never seen that one, but a documentary,
Mhm.
right? And then there's Jailhouse Rock. So I've got like, tons of VHS of his movies, concerts, all kinds of stuff.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So the clock behind me, I'm going to take this off the wall here. Let me grab that. Let me get my mic here. So I was showing this to Marco before we went on air, and this was a Christmas gift. I got this for Christmas in 1991, and what happened was my grandmother didn't drive. At that time, she was 67. She never drove. And that year, she said, "You got to go pick out your Christmas present." And she treated us, my siblings and I, like kings and queens. She really did. I mean, she treated us so well at Christmas. My parents did too. My grandmother equally as much. That year, she said, "Go pick out what you want." And back then, we had a mall called the Wyoming Valley Mall, and we still have it today. But back then, it was hopping. Now, sadly, it's more like a ghost town. But I think that's what a lot of malls have become in the United States. But they had these stands in the middle of the malls. They had the stores around the perimeter, and then they had the stands in the middle of the malls selling a bunch of different stuff. And they sold these rock clocks. And despite the fact that they had clocks by Kiss and Pink Floyd and Bon Jovi and all these other bands that were popular during my day, I wanted this Elvis clock. So I asked for this clock for Christmas, and I've had it for 34 years since then.
Wow.
And it still works. It's been on a variety of walls in this house, and my bedroom wall when I was young, and then the 3 apartments I lived in, the house that I live in today for the last 18 years or so. But I put this up on that wall specifically for this show. And here's a picture of me opening it. I hope this comes
No
out on the
way.
screen. Yeah, you can see a John the Music Nut who had a lot more hair and was a much zanier guy right here.
Back when he was just John the Nut.
I was definitely a nut. There's no question about that. There's me opening, and there's my grandmother, my Nana Violetta
I,
Carr.
I love how you picked it out, but you look surprised.
Yeah, she told me to act surprised, and I listened to her. Yeah.
Excellent.
On
That's awesome.
the back here, it says Christmas 91. So, yeah, so that's like my prized Elvis possession. I've also been to Graceland, and I would definitely say to anyone who has not made the pilgrimage, do it once. And I would say only do it once because it looks exactly as it did when Elvis died. You see the 1970s fashion, the
Wow.
1970s decor. It's pretty cool. How much does it cost? Well, it depends how much you're into Elvis, because the more you pay, the more you get to see.
Mhm.
If you pay one price, you get like the minimum, which is still pretty impressive. If you pay a higher price, you get to see all of his cars. If you pay a little more, you get to walk in his airplanes.
Wow.
Yeah, and I got to do that part, but there's
That's what I
higher
would want
tiers
to
than
do.
that.
There's higher tiers. Can you sleep in his
There's
bed?
you could stay there.
Really?
You could stay there.
Unbelievable.
Yep, you could stay there. Like, these pictures probably aren't the greatest, but and it's funny because the picture I put in the front was I went to Sun Studio that day too.
Wow.
Yeah, so because that's like a 10-minute ride from there. But
Cool.
let me just see what I can.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
And you're not much of a fan of Elvis, you said earlier, huh?
I'm not a big fan, but I always wanted to go to Graceland. And I was in Nashville for a few days, and it was like a 3.5 hour ride to Graceland. So when I was planning it all out, I was like, I'm going to Graceland too. I always wanted to go. Nashville was a bigger destination for me, but I had to hit Graceland.
It feels like something you need to do, kind of like going to see Mount Rushmore or going to see the
Yeah,
Grand Canyon, or you know what I mean?
if you're a music
He's
guy,
part of American history.
it is like if you're a music guy or gal, you got to see it. You have to be there at least once. So, but he had. Let me just show you what kind of like I got all kinds of pictures in here. Like, this is there's a picture of the mansion. There's another one of the mansion
That's
there.
awesome. When did you go? Like what year?
2018.
2018?
2018. There's another picture of his mansion right here. And then it says,
Nice.
"Welcome to Presley Motors." That's when you get into his cars. And Elvis had some beauties. I don't know how these are showing up on the
Wow.
screen.
They look great.
Oh, yeah. But he had his, that showroom of cars was magnificent.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I would love
Yeah.
to see that.
And then that's not counting his go-karts, his motorcycles. The guy had, don't forget his
He had a
boat.
lot of toys, huh?
Come again?
He had a lot of toys, huh? Did
Yeah,
you
he
get to see any
did.
of his guns?
John Deere tractor. Is that showing up?
Yeah, I lifted up a bit more. No, it didn't show up.
Okay.
The tractor? Yeah, there you go.
And there's the John Deere tractor.
Nice.
But yeah, he had, let me see here. Where's the planes? Oh, here's one of his planes.
Cool.
And there's the inside of the plane. You were able to
Wow.
put things on the inside. So it was
Wow.
pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I'm jealous.
yeah, there's a ton of good stuff in here. And there's the main
It's Graceland. Yeah,
yep,
there you go.
there's the thank you very much for visiting and all that. So yeah, it was definitely do it once. Like, and I want to only say once because you're just going to see the same thing because they're not going to change it up too much. After that, they had like files and files of important papers you can go through.
That's cool.
They had this one big.
Yeah, you couldn't take anything, I guess, though, huh? Like any of the papers.
You couldn't
Were they
take
like
it.
were they reprints of papers? They weren't
I
must not have
think
been
it was the
original
original
documents.
stuff.
Really?
It was in
Interesting.
filing cabinets.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
and they had some of his old toys.
Wow.
They had this big storage area, and people were spending hours in there checking out his stuff from his boyhood. It's crazy.
That's
But
fantastic.
fans were so dedicated. I mean, I was going in, just taking a lot of pictures, and you could tell people were like getting emotional and stuff. Like, it was something they had always
Wow.
their whole lives, and they finally made it there, and it was awesome. It was just as awesome to see the joy in people's faces checking this out.
Sounds like it was like a religious experience for you
It
or
was for
something.
them. For me, it was pretty cool. For them, it was a religious experience. So
I'd be in your shoes, like even though I love Elvis, like I'd probably be in your shoes, like, well, this is cool. Like
yeah, it was cool. I mean, I was more into Nashville, and Nashville's a lot of it's country, but it's more like a celebration of music these days. And it's just like a nonstop party if you go through the streets, because they're like every club is live music all the time. It's pretty neat.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is. It was very awesome. I went back this year. I loved it so much. I went back to do
Cool.
a lot. It was cool. Oh, so getting back to the album, Elvis Presley, Aloha, from Hawaii via Sale. I almost forgot the name. What would you rank this album, Marco, on a scale of 1 to 10?
Um, I mean, like for me, it's kind of I feel like it's one of the classic kind of Elvis, like Elvis in Hawaii is just one of those like classic Elvis things. I think it's a big part of who he was. Like nobody, people talk about Ed Sullivan, people talk about 68 Special, people talk about Hawaii. They talk about when he was out of shape. You know what I mean? Like people don't talk so much about like that's the way it is or Elvis on tour and stuff like this. So Elvis, I think Elvis from Hawaii, I think is actually a pretty big piece of like Elvis history.
Mhm.
Um, in that context, to me, it's like an 8 or a 9, I think.
Okay.
And we did talk about briefly before we started recording, like, well, this show is supposed to be kind of like live albums that don't get talked about as much.
Yes. Yes.
And we kind of talked about like this actually was a mega successful show, mega successful album, right?
Exactly. But we never
Historically
get it.
significant.
But we
But
never
like
hear
you
about
don't
it.
yeah, like when people rank their top live albums, you don't like see this on their top 10 live you know what I mean? Like people don't really I feel like this doesn't get as much attention as it deserves, but I also kind of almost feel like Elvis is kind of in his own little realm um, where I don't think people even really consider Elvis. He's kind of so far on his own that like when people talk about like the top 10 bands of all time or the top 10 artists of all time, I don't ever even really see Elvis included that much. Like Martin Popoff did a top 10 bands of all time, and like he didn't mention Elvis. You know what I mean? And I don't even think that's out of disrespect as much as it is out of like he's almost kind of just his own thing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like nobody thinks to include I don't think to include Elvis on lists of like the greatest frontmen or the greatest lead singers or the greatest bands or the greatest live albums because he's almost kind of his own, he's like a phenomenon or an anomaly that kind of sits in his own world. The way that I see it. So in some respect, I don't think people really give this as much attention as it deserves, even though it was mega successful and 1 billion people saw it and it sold 5 million albums or whatever. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense or not, but
No, I know exactly how you feel because I didn't know much about this album at all until you had recommended it. So, and I knew about some of his TV specials. I didn't realize this was a TV special. Maybe it's because I don't keep up with his career as much as I should, but I didn't know 1 billion people watched this. I mean, I know about the TV special, let alone a billion people watched.
yeah, and I guess we should probably mention too that the reason he did it in Hawaii was because I think he was putting pressure on his management, i.e. Colonel Tom Parker, to tour the world. I think he wanted to do that. And I think to kind of meet him in the middle, I guess Colonel Tom Parker, there's theories that he couldn't leave the country. To kind of meet him in the middle, they decided to fly to Hawaii and put on this performance to kind of I think that was part of the reason why they did it. It was let's go to Hawaii and broadcast it to the world rather than tour around the world because he basically by that point was just well he had a residence in Las Vegas, but he did tour the States. He never played outside of the United States other than Canada in the 50s. He played in BC and Toronto and Hamilton, I think. Hamilton, Ontario, Toronto, and BC in Canada, which I think were his only performances outside of the States. He
Hmm.
went to Europe because he was enlisted in the army and he served in Germany and he was in London, England. So he'd seen parts of the world, but he never toured the world, which I think was a huge mistake. But that was, I think, part of the reason that they did the Hawaii thing and broadcast it the way they did was because he wanted to tour the world. This was almost kind of like, let's bring the world to you, kind of. So like you can even the world, you know what I mean? Like the whole thing. I figured that's probably worth mentioning too, that he wanted to tour the world, and this was Colonel Tom Parker's idea.
Right. Exactly. I would give us a 9 because it shows the strengths of Elvis as a performer. He's making these cover songs his own. You got a healthy dose of his hit singles. The band is on fire here. I mean, you rarely would you find finer accompaniment on an album between the artist and the band and orchestra than you're going to find here. I think this is a wonderful album. If I had more time with it, maybe I'd give it a 9.5 or a 10, but at this point, I would give it a 9. I think this is an excellent album. He bangs these songs out.
The production, the quality, the audio, it's all fantastic.
All
It's a top
very,
Elvis live album for sure.
absolutely, all very, very strong. So I would definitely give this a 9 out of 10. This is Elvis Presley, Aloha from Hawaii via satellite. What do you think of Elvis Presley as an artist? Have you followed Elvis Presley from the beginning, or did you get into Elvis Presley later on in life? What are your favorite songs by Elvis Presley? Have you actually seen Elvis Presley live? I know I'll be talking to a much older audience when I ask that question, as someone who was only 6 years old when Elvis died. One of your favorite albums? Do you think his self-titled debut is one of the finest recorded albums ever in the history of rock and roll? Please let me know in the comments. Marco, thank you so much for joining me today and talking about a wonderful album that, although it did sell several million copies, no longer gets the love or recognition that it deserves. Aloha from Hawaii via satellite by Elvis Presley. And there's
Available on VHS.
available on VHS. Marco, what do we have in store on the Contrarians? Where I say very respectfully, you are the engine that keeps the Contrarians going. And anyone who's involved with the Contrarians will agree with me.
Yeah, thank you. No, thanks for that. What's going on right now is if you go over to our channel, you'll see some timely videos. Martin just well, we just put up. Martin today recorded his thoughts and her opinions on the Rush reunion dates that were scheduled, and that's just gone up today. That's brand new. And this week there was a few birthday videos that went up. So like October, I think 2nd and October 3rd, there was a few birthday albums that came up. Like Accept was one of them.
Balls to the wall.
Yeah. Sorry, what'd you say?
It was balls to the wall. I'm sorry.
No, it was yeah, Restless and Wild.
My apologies. Restless and Wild.
Yeah, that was the birthday one from October 2nd. He did what was the other birthdays? There's a couple of birthdays that like October 2nd and 3rd. The Who by numbers.
Yes.
And there was another one. The Police. The Police. What was that album?
Zenyatta Madonna. Wait. No, wait. Ghost of
No.
the Machine.
That Ghost in the Machine, yeah.
Just
So
Ghost of
that's
the
it. If you go over to the Contrarians right now, you'll see that stuff. And then we also kind of started. We've been doing like kind of themed months. So this past or in September, the theme was Fix an Album. So it was like take an album that is just like a great album that you love, but there's a piece of it that you would like to change for some reason. So you could take a song, another song from the band's discography and replace a track from the album to like make it a perfect album. You know what I mean? So there's some of that stuff going on the Contrarians as well. And lots of, yeah. If you go over there, there's lots of stuff getting pumped out.
And by the time this airs, and this is going to air on Saturday, October 11, 2025, there will be a new Fix an Album episode coming out. And I only know about this because I'm a member of the Contrarians and I'm on the tier where you can see the shows 1 or 2 days before they go out to YouTube. There's going to be a Fix an Album episode on Van Halen's Diver Down.
Nice.
And as someone who watched it earlier today, it's pretty interesting.
Excellent.
Very, very good. All right. Thank you all so much for joining us today on our wonderful discussion about Elvis Presley and this wonderful live album as well. Do what you love, and we'll talk to you soon.